So it's confession time. I know I bought a nice, shiny, new to me 15 F1 or F250 Power Stroke, but I've had this Cummins since it was brand new. And this truck only has about 87,000, doesn't have 90,000 miles on it yet. And what ended up happening, as I drove it cross country for years, up and down the interstate, and then fuel went up and I was poor, so I bought a car and drove that around, and then that car turned into an SUV, and then the SUV turned into a pickup, and this one kind of fell to the wayside. I didn't use it as much, and then the clutch went, so then I didn't use it at all. It sat parked, and while it sat parked, well, what happened is what things happen to vehicles that are parked in a field or a grassy knoll. But it's time for me to fix all that, and how we're gonna do that is piece by piece. Like, how do you eat an elephant? Because we got everything to deal with, from that to about the same on the other side. And that, and of course the clutch, and then we're going to replace all the brake lines. This bed, even though it looks pretty good, it's got a real bad bend in it right there, and it is, maybe it's this side, maybe it's the other side, yeah, and it's starting to go too. So we're gonna have to analyze, see how bad that is, because that's rusted from the inside. That's not rusted from the outside. Even things like his tailgate that gets completely rotted out at the bottom. I don't know how much of it's going to be worth saving, how much of it's going to require replacing. I know I hit it on this side at one time. Matter of fact, if you catch the light right, you can see the whoop-de-doo in the door here. I didn't bother to fix that. But the doors are going to have to come off. The bed's going to have to come off. Tailgate's going to have to come off. Tailgate's easy, I know. It needs tires. The whole underside of it is going to need checked and gone over, because there's like a whole bunch of rust and scale underneath it. A lot of it, like I said, is just from it sitting. It needs a full exhaust. The exhaust system is completely shot. Matter of fact, there's the end of the tailpipe, and then it leaks before it gets to there. But this was my first and still only new vehicle, first and only new truck. It's the truck I drove to California. It's been to the West Coast. It's been to Sturgis. It's been with me through some of the most important parts of my life, but we're going to start with tearing the clutch out, because I need to know if the flywheel can be resurfaced. And while the clutch is out, of course, we're going to go ahead and do the main, rear main, and let's start figuring stuff out. While I don't have any parts ordered, because quite frankly I got to figure out, like, it's going to be a take something off, evaluate, and then put it back on. But let's get started with the clutch. And I think we're going to start with the clutch in here. Yeah, we've had mice in it. I don't know what that is. Desiccant. Maybe I should have used some of that, huh? But, alright. First thing's going to be figuring out how to get that off. Alright, so it had to... I'd take these screws out, which you can get around your boot. This one unclips You can see the clips right there. Clip, 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 clip. But I was trying to figure out how to unscrew the knobs. The knobs I don't think unscrew. Well, actually I know this one doesn't, because I have the shifter here on the floor. It unscrews off of there. So that's where your Dodge shifter screws on. But then you have, in here, you have 1, 2 screws. They're gone right now. You have a screw under there, a screw under there, and then you have 2 screws under those, which I'm going to go around the other side of the truck real quick. There's the screws. You have a screw right there, and you have one right up. Wait, I can see it, but I can't make. There you go. Then you have one right there. Okay, so you take all those out, and then take your knob off, and then I believe if you take those 2 screws out, this shifter knob for the 4-wheel drive should come off. And that's where all my mice were getting in. Yeah, you see all the mice poop. Alright, we'll get it cleaned up. That's why I haven't really washed this truck yet, but we'll get it cleaned up. We'll get I'll take this knob off. If it's any different than I think it is, I'll show you, but right now I think it's just take those 2 screws out, this knob comes off. Arm and all. Alright, several minutes later, and I've already got this off, and I'm showing you where it goes. And you need to take out these screws that go pretty much the whole way around. There's 6 screws. Then you can pry that puppy off. And I don't know if we're going to take this guy off or not. We might see if it'll slip out without taking it off, but that's pretty much it. I'm going to put these screws back in, and then go take a look underneath and see what we got to do. That should be it from inside. Okay. So just a note, there's a bracket here holding a wire on. I'm going to go ahead and take that off too. I'll just put the bolt back in. But I wanted to make sure that it was worth noting. I still don't plan on taking the shifter the whole way out, but you never know. So let's start at the beginning. Wow. I'm going to give you a tour of the underside. We have some rust on the bottom of the front doors. I'm not sure if we're gonna patch that or replace the doors. Both are an option at this point. But we definitely got a lot of rust at the bottom of the rocker panel. And we got rust bubbling through there. And as we get underneath, it'll actually get worse. But you're gonna have to excuse me while I roll down on the creeper. So this is the underside on the driver's side. So we're going to need at least a body mount. We're probably going to end up replacing this whole side of the cab. I don't know how much of this we're going to try to get. I know you can't get this side of the Dodge floor for some reason. They'll sell you the part up by the trans tunnel that never rusts, but where you get all your rust, they don't sell you crap. But all the metal that was sandwiched together, the water came out through here, which is horrible, and by the time I realized that, it was already too late. But there's your transfer case. It is just protected by this skid plate, so the skid plate's gonna go, and then this crossbar's gotta go that holds the skid plate on. It does not appear, I'm trying to show you with the light, to be attached to the transfer case. I might pull the trans and the transfer case as one unit. I haven't decided that yet. We'll see it, but right now I'm thinking I'm probably going to pull the transfer case first. The drive shaft's got to go off with the carrier bearing housing. I'm thinking I'm going to replace that. Just one of them while you're there. And it goes back to the drive shaft. Now, the underside of the bed is not bad. I mean, yeah, it's got a little bit of rust to it, but it's nowhere near like the cab. And I know I can get that filler neck piece, so we're going to replace that. But for the most part, I mean, the bed's not even dented. on the underside. So the bed floor is great. But we're going to chop this exhaust out because it's completely rotted through, as exhausts tend to do, especially when they've been sitting. And we're going to get rid of that. So over here on the front, in case I don't film it, there's your transmission. But I had these lines, and there was two. I thought there were wires connected to them, but they run along, and you can see the bolt right there where they attach. And I was like, why would you have brake lines that just deadhead? And then I chased them, and they're getting a little tight here, so I hope you can see. I chased them up to here, where you can see there's the lines going, and they go up to those rubber lines that go down to here. And I was like, what's that? Well, that's my front axle actuator. Front axle actuator. So those are vacuum lines, because that's how that thing operates. So we're probably going to replace those while you're there, because we're going to have that bracket off anyway. And then going out here, you can see, like, I'm just going to replace every brake line on the truck, because my camera's in the way of my light, because they're pretty much shot. Calipers I'm not too worried about, because you know, you can buy new calipers. But you can see also, I tried to undercoat this at one time, and I think that was part of its demise, is I used an undercoating, and all I did was trap all the moisture right up against it. Like, that's what all of there, you can see it, that is, you know, places like that. It's not actual rust flake, it's just rust that's trapped underneath the undercoating. And I think that's possibly part of why some of this went bad so quick, is because, you know, like you can see it's black, that's that undercoating, whereas in here, under here where I didn't coat, so much, I got maybe a little bit over there, it's not as rusty, and that's true of the frame. So a lot of what you're seeing is places where the rust is scaled on. But we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna knock the drive shafts out and take that skid plate off. I'll probably take that skid plate off first, and that, I don't know what you call it, it's not a transfer case mount, because like I said, there's no connection to it until you get to the trans. But whatever that brace is, we're going to take that brace and the skid plate off. Okay. Alright, it's been a hot minute, but you can see my exhaust was shot. But I got that out along with a few other things. And I'm going to grab a light real quick. Now I'll take you under and I'll show you what I ended up with. I'm still contemplating how best to repair all the rust. But for right now, that's not my main concern. Try to shake you around too much. Alright, I got the skid plate off. 2 bolts there. 2 bolts over there, 2 bolts right there. I know those spacers don't go there, but I just, you know, I like to put stuff back mostly once it came. But if you get this far, you have to disconnect the, trying to roll around, the shifter link up there. That's that bolt. So I'll take that bolt off and give that one a good soaking, because it looks extra crusty. And then the drive shafts were kind of complicated. You want to take, I got a little propane torch out, and I heated the what do they call them, the band bolts, the band screws. I heated them up in the pinion a little bit, because for the most part they're held in with Loctite, and you want to get them a little bit warm so they break free, or else you run into the danger of stripping them. This one you can either put, if you didn't take your shifter apart, you can put it in gear. What I did was I wedged a pry bar up in, and then took the bolts out, and then you got to take that back pinion off, and then take your carrier bearing out. That took a little bit of doing, but like I said, most of it is not because of rust. Most of it's because I put this shit on. Like, I don't know, I wish I could go back in time and kick myself in the face. But, you know, underneath it's not, it's solid. I mean, yeah, it's rusted, but it's solid. But I've already made up my mind the bed's definitely coming off. Now, I'm going to try and get a feel for how, well, yeah, you got to take your exhaust off because, you know, it attaches to the transmission. That's the, what you call it, the hanger I just didn't take out. But let's go ahead and we're going to take all these nuts out, because I don't think I'm going to leave it attached to, well, I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm going to take the transfer case off for sure. And then I'll get my jack up underneath here and get it hooked to the trans. And honestly, most of those bolts, with the exception of the top one, which I think I could probably get with an extension, they're pretty accessible. So taking the trans off shouldn't be very hard. I'm going to have to disconnect. Oh, sorry, I just thought of it. We're going back to this side. I'm also going to have to disconnect the slave cylinder and take it away. Take a look at that. And the other thing I'm going to have to do is there another thing I'm going to have to do? Maybe not. No, I don't think so. Oh, and I had to take those vacuum lines off the front of the cross member mount there over on my lawnmower, my junk lawnmower that I need to throw away. They run on the front of this cross member. You just unplug the plastic lines from them, and then you unplug the take the bolts out for the clamps, and then I'm probably going to end up replacing them. Alright, let's soak that bolt down and take some more stuff off. Alright. Alright, file this under dummy moves that I made, and I'm sorry about this. I get some pig matting on it right now. But it's literally just happened. Yes, you can take it out by hand. It's not that terribly heavy, but I will admit that you should drain it first, because I just dumped about 1.5 quarts of ATF into my pants. Once that thing, I made sure I could lift it, and I could, which is great. But then when that thing came down, that vent tube went right into my belt, and then just I could feel it in my underwear. God dang it. Alright. Gosh dang it. Should say that. Alright, let's get this cleaned up. Alright. So learning from past mistakes, I did drain my transmission, which I'm not sure if you can do on both sides, but this is the passenger side. I just took out that bolt, and fluid started coming out. So I'm going to assume it's probably true on the other side too. That's a through bolt. Make sure you seal it and then you put it back in. I have not done that yet. This video will probably remind me 10 minutes after I've been driving it that still didn't do that. But anyway, I took all the bell housing bolts out I could find. There's one up top, 2 on the side, and one kind of closest to the bottom. I left one loose in both. And then I'm going to try to drop the cross member hole. I left one bolt in both. There's a bolt up top on towards the front of the truck. This being the, my back, the camera's back is to the back of the truck. The reason I left that one in is because it didn't slide out, so it's got weight on it. I got that one ready to go as well. It's a 13 millimeter on the head and a 15 millimeter on the bolt. You got to go through the frame to get them. That's why those fancy body holes are there. So I'm gonna get my transmission jack from over there, under here, strap the transmission to it. I'll probably grab it right, well, I'll show you where I'll grab it. Right under there. Let's say a nice flat spot. And we'll see if we can drop this thing on the ground. And hopefully wheel it out. And we'll see if I have to jack the front of the truck up to get it out. Don't know. Never tried this before. But we're going to give it a go. So, hopefully the next shot should be of it out. So, two things. Number one, your Pittsburgh low profile jack will reach it, even if it is up a little bit on jack stands. I had to remove the cross member. There was just no way around it. And that was, oops, sorry, a very, very miserable job. Especially because I tried beating it down first, because my first instinct was to drive it down. But what you actually have to do is drive it towards the rear of the truck. I guess you could drive it towards the front if you really wanted to. Maybe the transmission wasn't in the way, but you can see, I mean, it laid in a heck of a scratch mark. It took the paint right off. Even there, that sucker was in there so damn tight. But I do still have the shifter on, which honestly I don't think it's going to make a difference because it's hitting on the transmission, the floor pan, the little hump that it goes into. But I think that I am completely off anyway, because as you can see the gap gets wider towards the top, so I think my pilot bearing and my shaft are completely out and the engine actually fell forward. Which is good news because it's not, the oil pan's not hitting anything, which was a concern of mine. But I'm going to let you guys go now and see if I can get this thing onto the ground and, well, I mean, it'll stay on the jack, but out of the truck. Well, it's down, and I'm going to have to lift the truck up to get it out. But, yeah, it's down. It's down. Right here and right here on the tail shaft housing, you see these two loose bolts. There was two wires that attached to two brackets that were stuck there that I had seen and then forgot and then seen and forgot. Not only did I have to remove the shifter up top, but honestly I should have removed this gasket too, but I had to remove the screws that were here, and I should have removed that one too, so that this thing could slide back, because getting that down and off was a pain in the ass. I can't wait to figure out how I'm going to get the new one back on. But I will say this, if you ever thought about putting a body lift on your truck, you should definitely do it before you do this trans swap, because another inch period would have been like freaking spectacular. Matter of fact, we might put a body lift on it before I put the trans back in, because that sucked. That was horrible. I've taken transmissions in and out before, but that one was so tight and so miserable, it was ridiculous. You can see up there where I tore the insulation. Now I'm going to get this trans moved to the outside from the frame rails. We'll go ahead and take the clutch and the flywheel off. We'll see how bad that is. I don't have very high hopes. But transmission's down. I didn't drop it. I dropped the transfer case on myself, kind of. But transmission's down. Alright. That is one big heavy bitch. Sorry, I don't mean, you don't usually swear in these videos, but that sucked. Even getting it out from underneath the truck sucked. But good news, it's out. I like to say though, is I tried lifting the front of the truck first and then pulling it out from the side. That really didn't work. What you should do, or what I had to do, is lift the bed of the truck, roll this stupid thing the whole way back, because the frame keeps stepping. Like, it's real thick here, and then it steps up, and it steps up, and I think it steps up one more time, and right about where the back tires are is about where I got it out at. So yeah. So if you're planning on leaving your drive shaft in and you don't have a lift, it's probably not going to work. Actually, you know what? You got to take that out. There's just no way. Because that carrier bearing will be in the way. You'll never get that out. But anyway. Let's get that clutch off. Oh. I got this sucker up. But boy, is it toasted. Woohoo! Got all these heat check marks. I don't know if we'll be able to get it machined or not. I'll have to see. See what's up. We're definitely getting a new pilot bearing. You can see the shiny rivet heads. Rivet, 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 rivet. That sucker's toast too. And you can see the spots all along there. So definitely was bad. Probably gonna take a break for a little bit and do some other stuff. Think about how I'm gonna fix all that stuff and what to do about it, because honestly, I don't know what the right answer is at this point. But at least we got her out. I'm gonna shove this thing over there, that thing further back there. Those can go up. We're actually gonna, you know what? I'm gonna spend a day and just clean up. All right. Thank you.